Rapid fire five problems in a row, done quickly. You push the space bar. I'm just gonna work my way through each problem. We are gonna find 4 steps for graphing quadratics, 4 steps. 2, once we have the graph, putting it in the ax minus h squared plus k graphing form. And then 3, solving that, which is really x equals h plus or minus negative k over a. It's going to be that simple. But nothing simple unless you practice. It seems like this is a fuzzy screen. Let me see if I can wipe that lens a little bit, see if that improves things. It could be just my eyesight, who knows. All right, so what are the 4 steps? I'm as I say, I'm just going to go through them. You pause the video and try each one for yourself. All right, what do I see? Positive A term, cup shape up. I see an addition, a linear addition to that, which means I'm on the upside with my y-intercept, 0, -5. That's step 2. Step 3, finding the x value of the vertex. And that we have talked about conceptually. At this stage, we're just going to do it mechanically. So minus b. B is positive 12, so minus 12 over 2 times a, which is 2 times 2, gets me -3. That looks good because it is to the left of 0. That's step 3. Step 4. Step 4 is plugging -3 into the equation to get my y value. 2 times -3 squared plus 12 times -3 minus 5. And that is the y value of the vertex. I put a little v down there. All right, that's -36. If this isn't 18 over here, I've made a mistake. There's your 2 to 1 opposite. Squaring first, -3 times -3 is 9 times 2 is 18. I always get half the middle term when I add those first 2. When I add those, I always get half of that or the opposite of the first one. Little shortcut, so -23. Those are your 4 steps. You've had 2 months to work on it. I hope you get it right on Tuesday's test. Now that I have that, what can I say? Well, I can say that the roots are an altitude of 0. I know I have one answer a little bit bigger than 0. This is also symmetric, not that I need it, but -6, -5 gives me a frame of reference for the x value on the left and for the x value on the right. And half of the class now knows how to do that without writing anything except the answer. So those answers come from, those 2 x's come from -3, moving to the right and the left, because here's -3. Moving to the right, moving to the left, that's what the plus minus is about. There's squaring in the problem, so we're going to do a square root. We got to go from -23 to 0, so I got to go up 23 units, and my multiplier is a 2. Those are the 2 x values. Now, how can we get those? Well, we could have put this in graphing form. Let's do it. I got the a term, it's given. So right now I'm putting it in graphing form. I can see -3 is the key number, so I'll write x plus 3 squared and -23. And if I set that to 0, I hope you can see the steps I took down here. -23 becomes positive, 23 on the other side. Multiplying by 2 becomes division by 2. Boom, boom. Squaring becomes plus minus square rooting. Boom, and +3 becomes -3. Okay, so there's your first 3 situations. Graphing, putting it in graphing form, and naming the roots. Let's do it again. What do I see? I look at the first multiplier for the x squared, it's negative. I have a cup-shaped down graph. I'm on the upside, I'm on the increasing side. My finger is going up. It's going down over here on the decreasing side. I'm on the upside. 0 gets me 2. That's step 2. Step 3 is finding the x value. I hope that you already know from the last example. Minus b over 2a, in this case, negative 30, over negative 2 times negative 3, minus b over, 2 times negative 3. I said that too quickly. A negative into a negative is a positive. Well, that's good because I know I'm to the right of 0 on the horizontal axis, right? This is a 0, so over here has got to be something bigger than 0. Okay, and what is it? It's 6 into 35. All right, so now I've got to put 5 in. 5 squared, 25, negative 75. The next one better be 150, or I've done something wrong. Oh, yeah. 5 times 30, 150 plus 2. And then I'm going to add those first two terms, and I'm going to get half the middle, or I'm going to get the opposite of the first, whatever one you prefer, and that's 77. All right, there's 0, 2, so my roots are here. Y equals 0. Again, I'm measuring from 5. Plus minus, these are the x values that I'm looking for here. And this is one of them, and that's the other. So 5 plus or minus, I've got to go from 77 to 0. Got to go down 77 units. My multiplier is a negative 3. So I'm dividing by a negative, and I got to take a square root. All right, now if you're not seeing that, negative into negative, it's, we have real, rational, or irrational. Well, that's probably irrational. It's definitely irrational. Let's look at, what haven't I done? Graphing form. All right, so what is the graphing form? Pretty simple. You just take the first number. 5. We've talked geometrically about the importance of 0 squared. It's minimum. In this case, because we're multiplying by a negative, it becomes a maximum. And I want to display the vertex. The most important place on this graph is right here at 577. You're supposed to be able to see how to make 577 in the mind's eye from that. All right. And if you can't do this quickly yet, hopefully you can follow one more time how to do it. 0. Okay. So what are we going to do? Subtract 77. Let's see if I can do it to the side here. So what am I going to do? I'm going to subtract 77. Boom, it's gone. I'm going to divide by negative 3. Boom, it's gone. I'm going to take plus minus square root. Boom, it's gone. These are x values I'm finding. And minus 5 comes over as positive 5. Okay, there it is again. All right, so that's 2. Now we're going to do a third one. And we got some visitors coming. They're going to get a lesson in how to do quadratic here in a second. Okay. Yep. Hey, here they come. They're going to learn how to do a quadratic right now. There you go. You're on. You want to go live or not? You want to go viral? All right. I'm going to keep going. All right. So our third one. So you push the space bar and see if you can do it on your own. I'm looking at the number 5. It's positive. Cup shape up. All right. I'm looking at the linear term, which is negative. So I'm on the decreasing side at a height of 7. That's step 2. I now know that, and I've explained why the rate of change at this instant is down 30 to 1. But I'm not going to go into that anymore. We're just trying to catch up with the basic. How do you do this? And this is a good way as any. You can always do this as your last step. You can always find, the vertex and then realize that 0, 7 is on that side. But this helps, confirms what we're looking at. So minus b over 2a, I'm going to put it here, 30 over 2 times 5. Have I got that right? Yes, it's 3. Oh yeah, 3 is to the right of 0. And I'm going to drop in a 3, so that's minus 90, so that's positive 45. That's 7, but I got to check to make sure. 9 5s, 45. Yeah, so minus 45 plus 7 is minus 38. Minus 38. And now I want the roots, which are 1x is to the right of 0, and the other is to the, well, there would be a 6 over here, right? Symmetry 6, 7. And what are my x values? The second one is just to the left of 6. So when we do this quickly, you can check those square roots and make sure they make sense to you. So here I am, minus 38 to get up to 0. I've got to go up, so y equals 0. I gotta go negative 38 to 0. I gotta go up 38. I got a multiplier of 5. So I'm gonna divide by 5. I know I got the plus minus square root, and I'm measuring from 3. Those are your roots. Those are your x values. 3 minus root 38 over 5 in this function, in this cup-shaped graph, produces a 0, and then 3 plus also produces a 0. Right? And if you're still not able to see how the numbers work here, you put it in graphing form. 5, you take the a term and you work with the number 3, and that's squared change from 3. And we're got an initial data point of 3 negative 38. We set it to 0. We can see the 38. We can see the division by 5. We can see the plus minus square root. And we can measure from 3. Yep, 3. And if you can do those 3 things and you haven't been able to, that's 4 points on your next test. All right, two more. Minus 2, cup shape down. Minus, I'm on the decreasing side at 7. I guess I like 0, 7. Therefore, I know this is a negative number. If it's not, I've made a mistake. The opposite of minus 20 is 20. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. Negative 5 looks good to me. I plug it in, and I've got minus and minus, positive. 25 times negative 2, negative 50. And I got a 7 over here, and I put these 3 things together, and I get 57. All right. So negative 10 over here, not that I need it, but the symmetry tells me I'm at a height of 7. So I've got 2 numbers, one to the left. The roots are y equals 0. 0 is above, no, it's below it. Okay, so let's take that statement back. 0 is below 7. Here we go. And so I've got one x here that's a little bit bigger than 0, a little bit further to the right. One that's a little bit further to the left of negative 10. There's my second one. Well, I like to go from 1 to 2. Okay, so that gives me a feeling for those roots. I know them right now. I got to go down 57. I got to go down 57 units to get to 0. I'm multiplying by negative 2. So I got to divide by negative 2. I'm squaring that change. So the inverse of that is plus minus square rooting. And I'm measuring from negative 5. Once again, if you're not seeing that yet, we can come up here and write it in graphing form. I've got the a term. I know I'm measuring from negative 5, so I say plus 5 squared. I'm at 57 for a height equals 0. First thing I do is subtract 57. Boom. Next, I divide by negative 2. Boom. Next, I take the square root plus minus 57 halves. Boom. And then I subtract 5. I'm running out of room, so I'll subtract 5 there. And those are the x values, which when I plug them in, will get me a height of 0. And I should show you that the last 2 times. I definitely should show you that. So let's put it in graphing form, minus 2. Let's take our answer. Minus 5 plus or minus the square root of 57 over 2 plus 5 squared plus 57. Let's find out if that equals 0. Well, I know 5 squared doesn't. So let's get rid of that with the minus 5. Looks like I'm squaring a plus and a minus. Well, that's positive. If I'm squaring a square root, I get what's inside. And minus 2 times 2 cancels to be a negative 1. And minus 57 plus 57 is 0. All right, last chance. You're pushing the space bar. I'm going to do all of those things again. So what do we have here? We have cup shape up, it's positive a term. I'm on the increasing side, which is over here, 0, negative 5. I'm actually increasing at 8 to 1 at this instant. Right here, I'm not changing at all. And we talked about that geometrically. Maybe you haven't heard that conversation yet, but I can repeat it in the second half. Okay, I got to find minus b over 2a. I know it's negative. I already know it's negative because I'm to the left of 0, but let's find it. minus 8 over 8, 2 times 4 is 8, -1. Okay, I'm working with a nice small number. Let's put it in, -1 squared times 4 is 4. Minus 8 minus 5 is -4 minus 5, which is -9. That number is less than -5, that's good. And I want to hit a height of 0. So I got to go up 9. I'm dividing by 4. Oh, this is going to be a factoring problem. Because that square root is 3 over 2. So we actually have a factoring problem here. I didn't have to do this from the graphical perspective. But it's plus minus, and I'm measuring from -1. So what is this? This is -1 plus or minus 3/2. Well, that's interesting. Yep. But I'm not going to go into the factoring aspect of that. Pretty sure. Let's just continue with what we've been doing and speculate later. All right, so what do we have? We got it. Well, I already did it. Putting it in graphing form for x plus 1 squared. That's the smallest square I can get. So when I put -1 in, every other square is positive. Putting -1 in gets me 0, and I want -9. Then if you set that to 0, there's the graphing form. You set it to 0, then there's your 9 over 4 plus minus square root -1. You got your roots. Okay, let's just see how this one is a little bit bigger than 0 by doing -1 plus 3/2, which is -2/2, plus 3/2 is 1/2. Does it look like that might be 1/2 comma 0 in terms of where other things are placed? Absolutely. Then I also know over here that this is at -2. And so if I move to the left a little bit, that's -2.5, should be -2.5. Yeah, so lots of things to see. All right, there's a little practice. I'm going to post that, and that's 4 things that you can get 4 points on the next test. If you haven't been able to do that and you work through those with me, if you still didn't get it by the last one, come back to it tomorrow morning. Try it again. Reps are everything in math. All right.